Hey guys, tired Tarke cat after a long midnight walk, and this is going to be a 1 week review of Expedition League. I like it. I think it's really good. I think it's probably my favorite league in quite some time. I was part of the small crowd that actually enjoyed Ultimatum. I enjoyed it for the challenge. I thought the inscribed ultimatums were fun. I thought actual ultimatum itself was fun, if repetitive. I felt like it was a very strong 1 month league. Not necessarily a league which would sustain you for full 3 months. As far as a 1 month experience goes, I felt like it was pretty good. Expedition is great to me in the sense that it provides lots of different puzzles, and you only have to engage with the puzzles as much as you want to. So what I mean by that is if you're feeling lazy and you're like, I cannot be bothered, you can just plump down all your TNT without really thinking about it, and then it's just extra monsters, extra loot, and it's like, cool, I just got stuff, and stuff is always good. But if you want to really engage with the mechanic, then you can really sit and think about it and plan out your route to make sure that you're doing it all as efficiently as possible to net the most rewards. And that can feel quite satisfying when you set up a really good chain and you're like, yeah, I played that mechanic correctly. I'm cool. And that's generally a good feeling. And I like games that manage to get that balancing right, where you're rewarded for planning, but it doesn't ever feel too arduous and too oh, this is so drawn out. I feel like they do a really good job of balancing that. And I think that's a real testament to logbooks as well, because logbooks could have very easily been super dull. With a case of go lay 40 TNT, that could have been very, very tedious. So I feel like they've done a really good job of making it feel engaging and kind of thoughtful, and it's fun to do. I definitely highly rate it, and I never found the logbooks too rare before they buffed them. And they've now buffed them by 54%, so I'm getting more logbooks, and I like logbooks, so great. I've always been of the opinion that you want players doing the league content during the league. I really enjoyed Blight, but was very annoyed during Blight League that I didn't get enough Blighted maps. So yeah, I'm definitely glad they've made the logbooks more common. Big fan of that. I still enjoy the whole NPC trader stuff. I still think Danig is pretty boring, even though he is arguably the strongest, because he's the guy who lets you swap all your currencies around. I just don't find it particularly, interesting or engaging. It's not as exciting to me, that one. But whereas all the others I've been really enjoying, even Gwenin, which a lot of people are kind of bored of in a trade league environment, and SSF, she's still very valuable in terms of, targeting certain uniques, getting influenced high-level bases and stuff. So I still like her quite a lot. In terms of the balance changes that came alongside Expedition, I'm kind of the wrong person to ask, because I will pretty much always enjoy Path of Exile, assuming Path of Exile is providing me with puzzles. So a big reason why I like Expedition, as I said, is it's, you can really engage with it, you can plan it out, and you can feel rewarded for it. And, whether you think it was successful or not, a big part of this patch was this whole Flask rework. And suddenly we have all of these exciting new ways to use flasks. Be it just stacking a bunch of Quicksilvers and shoving increased effects on them and just, going full zoom, rotating between Quicksilvers. Or doing some of the cheesy setups you can do with Pathfinders and Scions, where you have completely automated flasks with 100% uptime. Which is probably what I'm going to do on my second build. Yeah, it's fun discovering new things, and I've always thought that's one of Path of Exile's biggest strengths. I'm always most interested by a league that messes with the passive skill tree, for example. If you said, hey, Tarke, would you rather have 5 more endgame bosses, or would you rather they completely change the passive skill tree? I'd be like, dude, passive skill tree, because that's just what I find fun. So, the fact they've kind of messed around with the balancing and the tuning a little bit this patch has just made Path of Exile exciting to me, because I find that stuff exciting. I know that's not everyone. General rule of thumb, if you make your own builds, stuff like this is very exciting. If you copy other people's builds, stuff like this is very boring, because your build just feels worse now, and you don't get any of the fun of trying to solve the new problems. So, yeah. In terms of, have I actually found the game significantly harder or anything? I've spoken about this before. The game just kind of feels the same to me, really. Obviously, I've had to adjust my playstyle quite significantly around not having 100% uptime of super strong defensive flasks. I'm someone who normally goes very heavy on just running a bunch of very strong defensive utility flasks. And I've had to adjust to that. but I found that a fun process. So for me, it's been enjoyable. I can understand why for a lot of people it isn't. Yes, also there's the whole thing of I'm playing traps, but Tarke, you cannot have an opinion because you're playing the thing that didn't get nerfed. I'm planning on, for my next build, doing a bunch of Flask cheese with Pathfinder stuff. But I'm also planning on trying out some skills that I think got hit particularly hard by the changes, just so I can have a more informed opinion. But obviously, you've always got to take anything I say with a grain of salt, because I play this game more than most people. I know a lot about this game, and if anyone can make something feel decent, it's someone with a lot of experience and a lot of time. So, yeah. As far as my own build, like, have I been enjoying it now that we're a week into the league? Yeah, I've been super happy with my choice to do the Exanimate Trapper. The Seismic Trap feels great. The Exanimate feels great for clear. It's been super lenient in terms of my gearing. I was expecting to be hitting much steeper, like, damage ceilings with this build, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna really struggle until I get some cluster jewels and until I get some, like, cold iron points. But it's like, nope. Just a +1 spell damage. Wand has carried me through everything so far that I've encountered. And I just, yeah, haven't felt any sudden, like, ugh. And that's been a very fun feeling. I always like messing around with non-crit builds. I've always found crit a bit boring in Path of Exile, because in most cases, crit is the answer. And as soon as crit is the answer, you're like, well, I guess we take all these crit passives, and then it's like, oh, well, my tree looks the same as every other tree. That's always been my biggest issue with traps, is the fact that nearly all of my trap trees look the same. So suddenly playing a non-crit pure fizz trapper scaling duration, it's like, ooh, my trap feels slightly different. My trap tree feels slightly different. Pog. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this league, and I would rate it very highly, despite, Steam charts or personal opinions of other players. I've been having a lot of fun. I guess it's also worth mentioning on that note that in the morning I'm going to be on Fated Connections. I'm going to be joined by Grimro as another guest. Me and Grimro are the two guests. It's a podcast hosted by Bala and Catmaster. I've been on it several times before. I'm a massive fan of Grim. We go way back, and it's been a long time since we've been on a podcast together. I used to have him on Bay Class quite frequently, but I don't think we've had him on in a couple of years. Actually, I don't know when the last time we had Grim on. So yeah, I'm excited to be on a podcast with Grim again. So that'll be fun, and it should be interesting seeing how all of our opinions differ, since obviously Bala is a degenerate, Grim is a degenerate, and then Catmaster plays SSF hardcore and I play SSF softcore. So there should be a nice mix of, like, Trade League and SSF pleb opinions. That'd be good. As for other podcasts, Bayclast, obviously, we're planning on doing an episode either Sunday coming or the Monday. We had it all locked in on the Sunday, but then we ran into, like, a last-minute scheduling thing. So we're just trying to work out if we can do it that day, but an hour later. If not, we're going to try and shuffle it to the next day. So yeah, keep an eye on my Twitter for the Bayclass lock-in. Otherwise, I will see you guys either on Catmaster's channel on Twitch or later when it gets uploaded to YouTube, which I believe goes on Bala's channel with Fated Connections and everything. For people who've been following along with this build, I've had a couple of people that are saying, what would you do differently, if anything, in a Trade League environment? Cold Iron Points, also a very silly change that GG forgot to do. I can't remember if it's Divergent or Anomalous, but one of the alternate quality Seismic Traps gives minus 60% cast speed, 100% increased damage. But cast speed doesn't do anything to Seismic Trap anymore. So it's a alt quality that just gives 100% increased damage, which is pretty strong with no downside. So that's something maybe worth buying up, because Seismic Trap is very popular. And I imagine those will probably get quite expensive. And if not to flip, you should buy them just to use them yourself. Otherwise, obviously, the reduced cooldown quality is strong, because the lower the cooldown, the more you get to throw out. So yeah, pick up those if you're in a Trade League. Would I recommend cluster jewels for this? Maybe, probably, possibly. You'd have to change the tree a little bit. And I don't know if I would do a full, like, large into 2 mediums into a small. You could maybe just shove, like, a medium into a small. I don't know how necessarily needed it is. I haven't really felt the need for anything. Like, you could change the tree to come down to Wind Dancer very easily. I wouldn't want to drop the skill effect duration scaling. The main thing I would do, really, is pick up a Thread of Hope. And put Thread of Hope in here to yoink skill effect duration up that way, and then you get to trim some points. Those points would then get spent into the thread, but it's probably still a net gain. And maybe if you can tweak your tree around a little bit, you can then go for the cluster. One jewel which is very strong here is Unnatural Instinct, because it hits these nodes, and these nodes. So if you do that, you could maybe change your tree to come, like, get Wind Dancer and come along this way. And then if you came along that way, pardon me, you can pick up Crystal Skin for the freeze immunity. Another thing that I'm going to try out, hopefully at some point, if I can collect the gear for it, is doing like a hybrid pain achievement build. So I'd be like Petrified Blood, Life Hybrid, like 2-3k life unreserved with like 5-6k-ish energy shield. It should be pretty tanky. It would do 30% more damage, obviously. You get to mess around with more auras. Maybe shove an Arctic Armor in for the freeze immunity that way, because buffed Arctic Armor is pretty good. But yeah, otherwise I wouldn't really change that much about the tree. Obviously shove in jewels if you've got access to good jewels. I threw these 3 points in just because, you know, I was leveling up and I was getting more passives. Alternatively, I could drop these 5 points and I could come down and grab Herbalism. But I didn't really feel like I needed more life, so when I get into like the rippier content, I might go for more life, but for now it's like, I guess we'll just get more sustain. It's quite good. For 3 points, you're getting 2% regen. Regen's always nice. 10 dot multi, 20% increased damage. No, more than that. 28% increased damage. So yeah, pretty good. But all in all, week 1 Expedition, thumbs up. Week 1 Seismic Trap, double thumbs up. Going for long walks and being very tired and scatterbrained, triple thumbs up. I don't have a third hand. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. See you on related podcasts soon, by the way. Bye-bye.